It's only at 25%.
Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
welcome. Y'all, it's Daniel and Kendra here with Living Well Today, Living Well Marriage Community. So we
Come down a
are.
little bit.
Oh yeah, you come on down some more. You look like a little
No,
medium.
I'm not gonna go down that much.
Yes, down. This chair is not going up. But hey, welcome you guys to Marriage Mondays. We are your hosts, Daniel and Kendra Tillman.
Hey y'all.
And shortly will arrive our co-host, the Bullocks.
No, they're not joining us. Did they say they were?
Oh,
yeah, they have family in town visiting.
Okay,
so yeah.
Okay, my bad.
So unless I misunderstood.
Well, maybe I misunderstood.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's just gonna be me and Daniel tonight.
All right.
And I'm just sharing. I'll let you chat with them while I share this to our marriage group.
All right. So we are on all the socials. So if you are with us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we should be on all of those. So you should be able to watch from your favorite. And so we are continuing our Marriage Mondays. And today we are continuing our evolution of marriage, where we started and how it's going.
Yep. And how it's going. So
we done talked about when we first got married. We talked through the childhood years of raising kids, having kids and raising kids. And now tonight we have decided that, hey, we're going to be talking about what it's like to transition into being parents of adult
teens and young adults.
I was going to say adult kids, but that's kind of like not a thing. Well, they still are kids, but
that's right.
Yeah.
No matter how old they get,
being
right?
the parents of young adults. I still want you to come down. Let me go get a pillow.
All right. So he's grabbing a seat. So, wherever you are watching or listening from, whenever you come in, I hope you'll just go ahead and let us know. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, we would love to hear those. We would love for this to be a conversation and not just me and Daniel talking, but we would love to hear from you all, your experiences. But yeah, so tonight we, like Daniel said, we're going to pick up where we left off. And we left off on talking about how parenting or becoming parents impacts your marriage, especially as you start to approach those teen years. So we have children we have a 23-year-old daughter, we have a 21-year-old son, and we have a 15-year-old son. And so there was a time where we had a kid in junior high, a kid graduating, and a kid in high school. And that's when I used to call us professional parents, because we had children. And then, there was a time we had kids in elementary, high school. And so I consider us to be professional parents, right? Because we had covered the stages of parenting.
Hit them all. Yes.
Yeah.
And just some background on us, a little bit of background on us. We're married 27 years. Got married when I was 24. You were 21, right?
Yep.
Wow.
No, you were 23.
23? You were young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So the ages our kids are right now is how old we were when we got married. Yeah.
Man, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Yeah. So we've been on this journey for 27 years, and it's been a ride, and we loving it.
Yeah. It has been a ride. Now, we haven't loved everything about it. I haven't.
Well,
we've had our moments.
Every journey has its ups and downs, its ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's a roller coaster you want to get off, and sometimes it's a very fun ride where you're like, wow, I never even imagined that we would experience this. So, and we have weathered the storms.
We have.
We didn't come through on the other side, although it's still a work in progress. It's never done. You never get there, right? And so we'll talk about some of that tonight as well.
Yeah.
Hey Sheila, how you doing? It's good to have you. Good evening to you as well.
Hello. We one of the things that I would like for us to, share with you all, like as we get started, because many people don't know anything about us. They don't know anything about the ministry, the work that we do. And you see us going live on Facebook, right? But this is really just a really, really small part of what we do as a ministry. So
before you do that,
yeah,
while you guys are coming in, let us know where you're from, where you're watching from, and just drop a comment that, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, so we know who's out there. All right, go ahead.
Yes, and we're going live over here on Instagram also. So we can see people here over on Instagram. They can hear us and they can be a part of the conversation. So, so like I was saying, what we do, like when you see us go live, that's such a small part of what we do. So we felt a calling. Daniel specifically felt a calling to find a way to help couples come together so that they could have a community, right?
Yeah.
So we started out by doing marriage meetups where we would go to a conference together, or we would do like a date night thing together. And what happened is it slowly evolved into becoming an actual ministry. Or we have a vision and we have a mission statement and we have very specific goals and things that we do. Well, at the core of the marriage ministry for us is marriage small groups.
Right.
And in those groups, what happens is there is a discipleship that happens, right? Where other couples who also love the Lord, they are there to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
To bring community to the marriages, right? So people don't feel like they're out here figuring out marriage and life by themselves.
Yep.
They're learning principles that, scriptural principles about how to have a marriage that honors the Lord, that glorifies God.
Yep.
Right.
That's executed according to biblical principles.
Yes. And so that is really the core of how we touch couples.
Mm-hmm.
We touch them through those marriage groups, and we have leaders that lead those groups that we are so grateful and thankful for, because without them, we would not be able to touch all the couples that we touch over the course of a year, right?
Yep.
So then the other piece of what we do is, so we have this weekly touch or monthly touch that people get in marriage groups. Then we have these twice a year events that we hold.
Yep.
And this is a way for us to bring everybody together once in the summer, once in the during the holidays, and we bring couples together where they can connect, meet other couples. We can celebrate, the accomplishments, the things that we've done together over the year. And so we have a great time, and we'll tell you about an event that we have coming up in December. And what are some other ways that we support couples?
Other ways that we support couples, well, so we have the small groups, and one of the things that we've been doing over the last couple of years is just bringing in different curriculums from authors. And what we want to start doing now is creating a curriculum for small groups. So behind the scenes, that's one of the things that we're doing, just from the years of experience of our own marriage and running small groups for so long and working with so many couples. So we have, a wealth of experience that we want to kind of bring together in a curriculum, or what do we call it? A curriculum.
Yeah.
Bring that together and start to help not only the small groups that we run, but offer it to other communities, offer it to other churches. So we want to start doing that as well.
Yeah.
And is there something I'm missing that you were thinking about?
No, because there is a gap that we see. There is a lot of marriage content, a lot of relationship content that we are seeing right now on social media, out in the world. And we believe that we have a unique perspective. Daniel and I have a unique perspective. The Bullocks have one. And so we want to bring that together. And again, based on our background of how we have been discipled through small groups, we want to be able to offer that to other couples. And so we have an event. If you are married or engaged, you are welcome to attend. Hi, Crystal. You are welcome to attend if you are married or engaged. And our event is December the 14th. It is, you can find out all the details at loveforrealevents.com. Love, 4 realevents.com.
It's on the screen now.
And it's on the screen now if you're watching us, or if you watch this at a later time, and it has all the details. It's a winter wonderland theme. So it's really a fun date night. What we do in December that's different from our June or summer event is December is about celebrating everything that you and your spouse or your fiance have achieved over the course of a year, and just really having an opportunity to relax. There it's very romantic, elegant. It's a fun experience.
Yeah, and we do everything that you would normally do yourself in order to kind of set up the event. Find the venue, everything except dress you, right? So you got to dress yourself, but we encourage you to dress to impress and come out and do something with us that's very special. And fun.
Yeah. And so if you follow us on social media, Living with Marriage, whether on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you will hear us talk more and more about that as we get closer to the event. You'll see, we'll share some clips from previous events, so that
some of the clips are already
great
up there.
investment.
So if you're go take a look at our Instagram or our Facebook, you can see some of our past events, the pictures, the videos, and things like that from those events. You'll see how much fun we have. Yeah.
And when we go live on Mondays, we'll share more and more about what you can expect when you come to the event. But we wanted to put that on your radar. Okay, so now let's get to the topic at hand. Again, if you have thoughts, if you have comments, the primary question I want you to help us talk through tonight is, how has raising children impacted your marriage relationship? So in general, what would be your answer to that question? How has marriage impacted parenting?
Well, word that comes
or how has parenting impacted our marriage?
Parenting impacted our marriage. Yes, it grows you up really fast. So it matured us. It has been a experience of where you have to operate in love toward children, because children they come out wanting and needing, right? And even as they grow, you have to teach them that the world is not just for them, right? That hey, there are other people in the world, and this is how you operate with other people in the world. So it makes makes you yourself someone who is able to teach this little being on how to properly be in the world. Right. So I think, maturity, making you a teacher, making you a learner, and, giving you a heart, or just increasing your heart overall for the little one that is in the world. Yeah,
I remember. So even before we started having kids, there was a Christian radio station here in Phoenix that I used to listen to. And there was this psychologist on there, and he talked about family and marriage, parenting, all that stuff. And one of the things he talked about is we really don't talk enough, but maybe there's more conversations now, but back then we don't talk enough about how much stress parenting adds to a relationship. Because one of the reasons, and I would be curious to hear what you all think about, why do you think where that stress can come from when you're raising kids? But one of the things I can say from my observation is about raising kids, we don't realize how much unresolved issues we have from our own childhood, and how the way we were raised, either we want to replicate that, or we want to change that, or maybe there's a mixture of both, right? There's some things we want to keep, or some things we want to get rid of, right?
And some things you don't know if you want to keep or get rid of, right? Or if it fits with the children that you're raising, the way that your parents raised you. Is that really how I want to raise my child?
Right.
And to some degree, some of that you want to pull in, and some of that you want to leave, back in your childhood.
Yes.
And like you said, you got to deal with, because it may have been traumatic. It may have been impacted you positively or negatively. And you have to figure that out, because if you don't figure it out, your children become a part of you figuring it out. Right. So
yeah, I feel like they're gonna be a part of you figuring it out no matter what, right? It's like, so it's like we start to learn those issues, those triggers, those things that we didn't even know were there when we start having kids,
Yep.
things that we wish were different, that and how we were parented, ways that we want things to change. And so it tends to bring a lot of more expectations, right? When you start having kids, this is Love for Real, where we talk about where expectation meets reality. So there's an expectation you have when you have children, and then there's the reality of children.
Yes, right.
And so sometimes that reality, it can be very difficult to navigate.
Yeah, because sometimes you like, because there have been many days where we look at each other and be like, I don't know what to do.
Yes,
I just don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. And it's a high stakes being a parent. That is a high stakes relationship. Just like being a spouse is a high stakes relationship, right?
Yep.
So because the stakes feel so high, it also feels so critical to get it, quote unquote, right.
And explain what you mean by that. Why do you think it is a high stakes relationship? What does that mean?
I think what makes a relationship a high stakes relationship is it's a relationship that impacts how you see yourself. It impacts how you see life. It's something that you really want to, quote, get right. Like, we want to be good parents. We want to be parents that are loving and kind, and raise human beings who make a contribution to the world. So the outcome is what makes it a high stakes relationship, right? It's like, we know that, hey, nobody wants to raise a kid who is a menace to society, right? And so that's what, to me, that's what makes it a high stakes relationship.
And you want them to be well socialized.
You
want them to integrate, into society in a way where they are, quote unquote, I don't know if I like this word, but normal, right?
Yeah.
They're not reclusive or off to themselves or, they're not cynics.
And let's be real. I honestly feel like, as Christian parents, we don't want them to just be normal. We want them to be special, right? We want our children to be, world changers. We want them to be great. We want them, we want to say, okay, I did all of the things on my Christian checklist that I thought it took to raise children, and then bam, out comes this child who is changing the world for good, right? And if your child don't line up with that, then that's where you like, oh snap, what happened? Like,
that's when you begin to get disappointed, right? But let's kind of talk about that, because your desire or your outlook on what your child should do won't necessarily line up with what they need to be doing in the world. Because just like your relationship, my relationship is a personal one with God, so is theirs. And they got to figure out their purpose, their mission, their vision for their own life, and it can't be ours. Right now, we definitely have desires for them. We have what we want them to be doing in terms of. So I don't know exactly what job you're going to do, child. Right? I don't know if you're going to be an engineer, if you're going to be a computer scientist, if you're going to be a teacher or a preacher. Right? I don't know. But I think as parents have in our mind a lot of times what we think we want them to do. And when they don't do it, then we're like, well, for instance, all of my kids, before they got to that age where they were college age, they were all going to college.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? 4 years.
That was an expectation.
You're going to a 4-year college. You're going to community college. You're going to 4-year college.
Yes. Okay, tell me, where did your bias for the type of college or even the idea of college come from?
Because that was my path.
Right? That was your path.
That was my path.
And that was my path.
And I was like, okay, we did that. And you get a job after you go 4 years through college. And I knew people that went to community college. They had 2-year degrees. And so, and it a lot of times didn't result in following up. or moving on to get the other degrees.
Yes.
So I didn't want them to take that break, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a child that, or I didn't understand. Hey, you can take a gap year out of high school. It's like, what is that? Who does that?
Yeah.
Until I started doing the research, started talking to my daughter, and I had to release, right? I had to release a lot of that of my. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
In order to have peace with my own children.
Yeah. So what can y'all relate to that? Is there something like some area of expectation that you have for your children that look different than what they have for themselves? And you had to reconcile now, okay, now what do I do now that they're not going this route? So keep going.
And so I had to make peace because, my son went to a 4-year. My daughter was like, no, I'm not going to a 4-year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to community college.
Yep.
And so yeah, I reconciled with their choices.
Yeah.
Where that's concerned, it's like you don't have to go to college to do well in life.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get there. It took me some years, to be honest. And this is what I will say I learned about that season. So I'm
still working through that.
Yeah, amen, brother.
I'm still working through that.
Amen.
Because we know as Black people, right?
Yes. Yes.
To get to the point where you can have a 4-year education or just go to a higher education is something that we don't take lightly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the end all to be all, and it's not the only way.
Yeah. But it feels like the only way, because even when I think about societally, the expectation when our kids graduate from high school, the expectation is that they are going to college. And even the language that I hear people using when they start talking about after high school, so much, even again in our Christian community, so much of it is geared towards, oh, your kid is away at college, this is how you deal with it. Well, what about when your kid don't go to college and your kid is still living at home and you're watching them, like you're getting a front row seat to the mistakes that they're making, because they're making mistakes at college too, right? You're just not seeing them, right?
Yes.
But it's like, so I think that we have this expectation that all kids are moving towards the same goals, right? And they're moving in the same way, in the same path, when that's definitely 100% not true. And for us, so much of it for us was because of the path that we took.
Yep.
And so I was someone who I didn't grow up in a home where church was like a part of how we lived our everyday life. I did go to church from time to time with different family members, and I've been to, Vacation Bible School, but that just wasn't a part of like my perspective or worldview at all. Like it just wasn't. But I gave my life to Christ at 18. I went to college. And then I got an internship, and then I gave my life to Christ, and then I just continued on that path, right? So here I am raising our children, right? Me and you and I raising our children, thinking that, okay, we've given them a different foundation, right? You had that spiritual upbringing. I didn't. So thinking, okay, we're both on the same page. We're giving them this spiritual foundation. Now they're going to go the same path that we are. Now, I didn't know that was what my thinking was until one of our children was like, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing this a different way. Right. And then I really had to grieve. I had to spend a lot of time. I literally spent more than a year grieving the expectation that I had for my child that didn't happen the way that I thought it was going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the things that helped or is helping me is a lot of the success that we have in life is really about what's in here.
Yes.
And
yes.
how you are
it's
groomed
internal. Yes.
From the time you are little. And you can look at Bill Gates, you can look at who was the Apple guy? Steve.
Yeah.
What's his last name? Steve
Jobs.
Yeah. Steve Jobs. These are people that started in college. They didn't even finish. They quit.
Yeah, they
right?
quit. Yeah.
And they were wildly successful in hiring all of the people that actually did finish college.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then there are people in different industries. I think about the home improvement guys that have, I don't know if they went to college or not, but some of them did, some of them didn't.
Yeah.
But they have, television shows that are teaching people how to do construction or remodel homes and things like that. And they've made a career out of that. They've created magazines and content, so you can, if you have drive, then you can do whatever you want to do and be successful right, in this world, be able to support yourself. Right. So,
yeah. And you know what? I think the reason why college is such a big push and an option, because college is a very structured way for kids to make that next step into adulthood. It gives them a path, like a roadmap, right? So when you have a kid that chooses not to go that route, then you're wondering what is the path they're going to take, because it's not as clear as someone who's in school. They have a plan that so we have a kid who was in college but left, and then now we have one who's about to graduate from college, right? Yep. So he has a very clear, okay, this semester I'm doing this, the next semester I'm doing that, the next semester I'm doing that. She went through life. That has been her education, right? And that's a winding road, right? It's not this structured. And so you and I, being these very structured people, it has required a lot more trust in God. It has required a lot more trusting her, like her knowing what's best for her and not us deciding that for her. And so it requires some different skills, as a parent.
And it creates more conversation.
Yes.
Right, because we don't know.
Sorry, Instagram people.
It creates conversations with your children because you are trying to figure out or trying to help them.
Sorry, Instagram people.
You're trying to help them navigate, right? Because they when you're in the real world, you come up against problems.
Yes.
And you come up against those problems in college too. But when you're in college, you got your structured environment, you got your university counselors, professors, those folks. And when you're in real life,
sorry, y'all. It's okay, y'all. We rarely have technical difficulties. Okay, it's me because I bumped it. I'm sorry. I really sorry. We're back. We're back.
So you have these. So what was I talking about?
They have the college professor. They have all these people that
college,
support them.
You got your whole support group, whole framework that's there to get you through that. When you're in real life, then as a parent helping a kid that is going through real life, you don't have those structures, right? So you have to have more conversations when they hit a wall or when they are having difficulty at work. Then it's more of a, hey, baby, this is how I handled it. And when I was working in corporate America, or this is how I would handle that situation with that difficult person, right? Because they're already in there. They're already executing from a real life perspective. But I think so we're talking about the relationship between us and our adult children. So our series that we're discussing right now is the evolution of marriage and how it started and then how it's going now. And we're very much in the thick of adult children.
Yes.
And
while also still raising a teenager.
I do want to talk about him.
Yeah.
Because there is some reality versus expectations there too.
Yep.
But with these adult children, we are really we had to relinquish control.
Yes.
Because you see their lives up close and personal, especially in this day and age. I work from home. Kendra works from home. Naya's in one bedroom. When Nathan is home, he's in another. And then Jonathan is always somewhere, around the house. So we're all, at least in this day and age, we all work from this house. We're all in it together. And so we see what they're going through, Even if they're trying to hide it, we see it.
Yeah.
God just kind of reveals it, especially when you're in the house at the same time all the time. So we're helping them navigate and work through real-time issues every single day. And then with Jonathan, I want to talk about an expectation. So again,
this is a teenager that we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the teen now. When I was a teen, it was excellent grades and sports. Right? It's, I had to get the grades, and my parents weren't pushing me to get the grades. I was just getting the grades because that's what I desired to do. And and then when Jonathan comes around, he's like, he don't care all that much about the grades, right? He's more of a, hey, I'll just get it done. And if I don't score an A, hey, Dad, a C ought to be fine. It's like, no, son, C ain't fine. But then I did come to an understanding that, because some research I read is that a lot of times CEOs are not A students.
They were C students. Yeah.
And so I was like,
they're
okay.
Visionaries.
And I think God drops these nuggets to let me know that he don't have to do it your way.
Yeah.
Is he a good citizen?
Yeah,
right?
A human being.
Is he a good human? Is he well socialized?
Yes.
Can he make friends?
Is he resilient? Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can he bounce back?
Because that's what you were talking about before. It's like we look at a lot of external things to gauge how our kids are doing. And one of the things that I have learned is how important the internal is, right? Because kids can, they know how to play the part, right? We all have been there, where what the expectation is from your parents, and you can pretty much, act or pretend to that, right? But really what is happening on the inside of you is way more important than what we're seeing on the outside, right?
Yes.
Now we want to see some positive things happening on the outside, but I think that we put too much stock in what we see externally and not enough in who is this child becoming as a result of growing up in this house, right?
Right. And that's a good point, because as parents, I think about our Father, God the Father,
yes,
who looks on the heart, right? Not looking on what you do, or how you execute, or all of that. He's looking on how is that inner man doing? And so as parents, how can we focus more on that piece of our child, or that part of our human.
And when I think about when we were raising them, we did all the things that supposed to help your kids spiritually mature, right? We did the family devotionals, we prayed with them, we took them to church every Sunday, they volunteered in church, all those things. And honestly, a lot of what I wish we had done more of is meeting them where they were. And then also, while you're meeting them where they're at, sharing the gospel with them through in very practical ways, right? I feel like we have gotten better at that now that they're older, like teens and young adults. We are always pointing them back to Jesus, right? We're always pointing them to the Lord. And I wish we would have been less focused on behavior and making them or wanting them to do things a certain way when they were younger, and more on who are you here, not just what we see on the outside. And I'm not saying we didn't look at the inside too, but I do think we spent a lot of time wanting them to conform into an image that we had for them, versus helping them steward how God has wired them and how they are, developing and spending less time so focused on what was happening on the outside of them. So, yeah.
Okay. You making me trying to think through what you just said.
Yeah, okay.
So what did you want us to spend more time on?
I wanted us to spend more time. How do we make how you live as a believer in this world, like living out your faith? How do you do it in practical ways where it's not just about Christian duty or the things that you quote do as a Christian, right? So we like no rated R movies, no secular music, like, you know, very strict about like what they could and
So it wasn't no secular music.
Yeah.
It was depending on the content of the music. We cut it out, or depending on the content, rated R was out, but depending on the content of PG-13, we were still like, we'll see about that one.
Yeah, there. I mean,
no, I remember. You remember the show with the two boys? They lied all the time.
Oh yeah, The Sweet Life with Zach and Cody.
Yeah. So they were just manipulators and liars.
Yes.
So it's like, nah, y'all not watching that, right? So stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so you feel like that was over the top or unnecessary?
No, I don't feel like that was over the top. I mean, it's not a critique on everything that we did, but I do see some things where I wish that we had helped them. How do you live in this world, not be of the world, but still be what's the word? I don't know.
Can you think of practical? So you said you wanted.
So one of the things I thought about was the time when one of our children, I ain't gonna say which one, when they were basically grounded for the whole summer because of a decision they had made. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically the whole summer.
Okay.
And when I look back on it now, I was like, that was so dumb. Like we were doing too much. Like it was like we didn't need to.
Okay.
We needed to be a lot more wise just in how we approach. It was fear. So this is what it is. So this is what it is for me. I feel like I won't say that this is both of us, but I wish that we had parented less from a place of fear. Well, as we were raising them, it was, fear of, okay, they're going to go down the wrong path. Right. Because that's why this particular child was basically grounded for the whole summer.
Well, sure. So let me say that I think we have to give the parents we were then grace.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's kind of like your child ran into the street.
Yeah.
And you know that if you run into the street and a car could potentially just kill you. Right.
Yeah.
And so we put all kind of guardrails.
Yes, that's excellent
on the
analogy.
Child at that time to make sure you're going to have to get through a whole lot of fences to get back to the street.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And then as we came into the next child, we understood that wasn't all that necessary because they didn't need all that, though. They just needed some guidance, and they would have obeyed. Would have come into more compliance without the 100 different guardrails that we tried to throw up.
So what do you feel? How do you feel like parenting in these teen and young adult years? How has it impacted us? You and I, our relationship.
Teen and adult. Oh, our relationship.
Yeah.
So it has increased our. I think it's increased our closeness, right? Because we do have those moments where we're like, "Hey, babe, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about this.
Yes.
Well, I don't know either. Let's pray." So it brings us closer together because we feel like we gotta be a united front.
Yeah. Or
we have to use. So I
That's
have
such a
this.
good point.
That's
such a good point.
This analogy, or not analogy. I have this thing where I say, the Bible says one will chase 1,000, two will chase 10, and we are two. So we always have that advantage, but we got to use it. Yeah. Right. So, so I think that is something that is for our relationship. Yeah. I think God puts children in your life to do that.
Yeah. And you know what? So when I think about, our series, we've been talking about how it started versus how it's going. Right. So I think how it started for us as parents is I was really fearful and stressed. He's fixing the Instagram, but for the people that are over on Instagram, I feel like it was more, I was really frustrated a lot wanting you to parent like me when we first started having kids, and I
Mhm.
was very uptight about everything, like with them, and
Yep.
wanting things to be a certain way and all that kind of stuff. And I would say how it's going is that we have learned to trust each other's parenting style.
Yes.
We have learned to trust the fact that our kids need something different from both of us.
Yes.
Right? They get something different and they need what that is, whatever it is. So like what you bring to the table, what I bring, they need both of those, right? What else would you say? Like how it started versus how it's going? And we want to know what would y'all say to that? Like when you think back, when you look at your marriage, if you have children, how did you start in terms of your parenting, and how is it going now? Like how has it evolved?
Yeah, I mean, so we had 3 children, and by the time you get to the 3rd child, right,
you
are so much more. I was okay. I get that, but I would also say that you are more relaxed. You have more wisdom.
Yes.
Right, and so they get the better parent.
They do 100. Right? I believe that 100%.
First child, forgive us.
Yes.
Second child, hey, you didn't have it as hard as your sister or your older sibling, so be quiet.
Yeah.
Third child, it's okay, baby. No, I'm not gonna ground you. No, I'm not gonna whoop you. No, let's talk about it. Right? What do you think? And the other children come in. You ain't ask us what we thought.
Yeah, right? And everything don't feel so devastating, and everything doesn't feel like it's your fault as a parent when the longer. And I will say that for us, because that may not be true for everybody, but that's been our experience. But what would you say? How else would you say it has impacted our marriage from the way we started versus now? Anything else coming to mind?
No, nothing else really coming to mind. I just think we are. Our 3 children has been blessings to our union, and to our growth. Right. They
100%.
They've just been instrumental.
Yes, they have,
helping us to be better humans.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
and
it's frustrating at times to have. If you're gonna have hard conversations, they're gonna be with your children. You know, because they're children and adult children and young children alike. They know how to push your buttons. They know who to go to for what as well. They've learned us. And so we got children that will, if they want money, they go to her, right? If they want something that I can provide, they come to me. But they know, and we have learned as well. Go talk to you, because if somebody does that, one of them come to her for money, she'd be like, go talk to your dad. Go ask him. Right? Because she knows that one of the things that I've tried to instill in my children is money management, right? And how to deal with money, how to think about it. That hey, saving is wealth. So if they come to you, I want more money. Well, how much you save?
And that's part of your strength. Like I feel like that's one of the many strengths that you have, and that's something that you have done a really good job imparting into them, where they are very conscious financially. Not saying that they always do what we think they should do with their money, but I will say all of them know the value of money, the importance of it, how to save it, they definitely know how to spend it.
Definitely know how to spend it.
So yeah.
But they do have that discipline of saving, and they even have the discipline of giving.
Yes.
Because I was pleasantly surprised as you have the comment, because I'm not into their finances, right? I'm not like, hey, let's sit down and go over your budget, unless they start asking for money or something. And I'm like, all right, well, how your budget going? Because you make enough money to be able to do this,
right?
So why
excuse?
Can't you do it?
There's no excuse, right? Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, any other thoughts about how raising children has impacted our marriage? One of the things that I wanted to say is that there have been so many times when we've gone to a marriage retreat or conference or whatever, and I have learned the things that I have learned about marriage. I have also been able to apply them in our relationship with our kids, because it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So anything that you're learning about relationships, it also applies to the relationship that you have with your children.
Right.
So, but any other thoughts that you might have about that?
Yeah, along that line, one of the, I think, most beneficial concepts that I've learned over the course of our marriage is the concept of turning toward your spouse versus turning away from your spouse, because we have a tendency, especially as men, to kind of stonewall or not talk about it. Some men, I won't say all men, when I want to talk about it, just, I'm a processor, so I can be quiet. But learning that concept of, hey, when you want something or you need something, to turn the television off, put the phone down, look at you, pay attention, and find out what you need, right?
Yeah.
And have that conversation, talk to that. I apply that same concept to my children, where when they need a conversation or they need something or they want something, to try and put down what I'm doing and pay attention to them, right? And have the conversation. I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes I know sometimes you even called it out, like you didn't engage.
There was a bid for connection.
There was a bid and you didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but this conscious is in my conscious mind that I need to be picking up these bids when my kids are trying to connect.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's just as important to turn toward them as it is for me to turn toward you.
Yeah. And, I will say to that point, one of the things I have learned from you in our marriage, where our children are concerned, is to appreciate and respect the fact that you are very slow to speak. Like it frustrates me at times, but I think it's a lot of wisdom in that. Like sometimes as parents, we do need to just be quiet for a minute and let some stuff sink in, ask the Holy Spirit for some wisdom, and not always have to have something to say, right away, especially in the moment, because you could be angry, frustrated, and then you end up saying something that you don't even mean to say, And so I think that that's one of the things that I've learned from you, is the value of just, what, it's okay to be quiet for a minute, and give yourself a chance. And even sometimes you just don't even answer in the moment. You just have to say, what, I need some time to think about this, because you know that you're not going to respond in the right way if you do it in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And one other thing I would say about the adult children that I believe, and that is, we have this saying, especially in our community, where you 18, you out, right? Once they hit 18, we done. You go do your thing, get your own place, and make your own money. We done with raising you. And for me, that is not a proper way to introduce your adult children to the world. I think we have invested so much in these children.
Yes.
Right, to become citizens of the world. And I think about them out there being movers and shakers and doing their thing. And who better to partner with them than us?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We
know them better than anybody. And versus families always getting into arguments or not being able to work together. Let's partner with Nathan and Naya and Jonathan when they're of that age where they're out there making decisions and buying things and doing things in the marketplace. So partnering with your adult children, I think, should be a goal of parents versus just trying to put them out there and say, okay.
And I love that because you have talked. That's something you talk a lot about now. Is that because I don't really hear people saying that or thinking about it in that way. It's like you have raised these people for 18 years, and then you've mentored them for however many adult years they're into, right? So we have invested 23 years in our oldest, 23 and a half years, right? And we've invested 21 years in, our middle son, and 16 in the other son. It's like, so why wouldn't those be the people that you partner with? Because you have made such a huge investment in their life already. Right, so yeah. And I really appreciate that perspective.
And they're good people. They got a good head on their shoulders, right? So I think a lot of times we start looking at our kids like they knuckleheads or something, and they're not. I look at what my kids are trying to do and are doing, and the tough things that they are working through. And it's for me refreshing to see. Right, I feel like our world is set up for success with people like that, like them in it. So I'm very encouraged.
And I know that's one of, like I said, that's one of the things that I appreciate about you. So as Daniel and I start to wrap up, I want to share again, in case you missed it, this December, we have an event coming up. It's one of our marriage events that we host, that is really designed to be a date, a very special date for you and your spouse. It's going to give you an opportunity to not just date each other, but it's going to give you an opportunity to connect with some other couples. You're going to learn a little something. We don't spend a lot of time on it, but we definitely have some learning opportunities built into the time together. So it's not just like a regular date, but it is something where there is a little bit of teaching thrown in, but it's most of the time, the majority of the time that you're with us is very like fun. It's just a fun event where you connect with other couples, and it's the Winter Wonderland event. You can find all the details about it at Love for Real, the letter 4, Love for Real events.com. It has the number 4. What did I say? The letter 4. See, thank you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting me.
In case somebody's just listening, they're like, the letter 4.
Love the number 4 real events.com, and it tells you the pricing and everything. The event is December the 14th. It's during the day. It's a luncheon, and it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. If you like to just have fun or dance. Our last one, we had some dancing going on. This one, I think we're going to have some dancing going on. So music, and activities. Kendra is very interactive. Right? So she doesn't just like people coming in and sitting down, but she makes sure that you got something in your hands and that you are having some activity going on with your spouse. And we have, there's a lot of laughter and fun. So
yeah,
we would love to see you guys.
We would love for you to come. We would love for you to share this with another couple. Like, grab a couple of your other couple friends and y'all come together. And even if you come by yourself and you don't know anybody, I assure you it's going to be a great experience. You will not feel left out. You will enjoy the experience.
Right. Or if you can't come and you want to bless another couple, do that.
Yeah, do that as well.
We've had some people do that.
Yep.
The Lord will bless you.
Yep. So so as we wrap up, next week we won't have Marriage Mondays, but what we will have is prayer. So the third Monday of every month is when we host our prayer where we go live just like this. So we'll go live on Facebook, we'll go live on YouTube, just like we're doing tonight. And it will be Angie and Tillmans Bullock. They will be leading us in prayer. They have a specific prayer topic that they're going to be talking about. So it's only 30 minutes. So we hope you will join us right back here next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, same time. And you will join Angie and Dennis in praying for your marriage.
Yep. All right. So Daniel and Kendra with Living Well, we're out, and we pray that you will have an awesome night, and God bless you all. Peace and hair grease.
Bye, y'all.